I've seen some great presentations this morning from Martin, from Thomas, from the Jacobs, and Beth has been very helpful in giving me the translations of precisely what's been said. My Danish is second only to my Swedish in my terrible languages. So it's a chance for me to get my own back and to present in English. There are lots of pictures, so it's not going to be too heavy for those of you who don't speak English quite as well as everyone else that I've spoken to here. The things I'm going to be talking about today are two projects that have really transformed the perception of out of home in the UK. One of them cost £9 billion, which is about 90 billion Danish kroner, and it was the Olympics. And the other one, costing almost as much, was a small study that we did for the outdoor industry in the UK. So let's just look at those briefly. So the first of those is the Olympics, and really what that's done is to showcase the creative, the media, and the overall capabilities of outdoor in delivering really strong branding messages for international advertisers. And in our case, what we've done is to demonstrate that outdoor really helps drive search performance and digital metrics. So what we've been able to do is to look at the relationship between outdoor and search. We actually did it a couple of years ago, and coming back to one of the points that Jakob made earlier, is we didn't have access to mobile search data at that time. And I think that if we repeated it now, what we'd see is a much stronger relationship between outdoor driving search out of home and mobile devices. But how can we show this? Well, in the UK, Mindshare's got a history of working with a lot of media owners to understand their media and to help them develop it further. In recent times, we've worked very closely with the trade body that represents out of home, which is the Outdoor Media Centre, to understand outdoors capabilities. We're particularly looking at a number of projects, the first of which was done about 5 years ago, which looked at how out of home performs with econometric modelling, so in sales modelling, and some of the issues to consider there, because it doesn't always perform as strongly as it might do. So we were exploring some of the issues about what might be causing that. The second project, which is very similar to the findings that Thomas presented earlier, was looking at the relationship between out of home and developing brands. And from what I could make out, we had some pretty similar conclusions. And the final one was looking at the relationship with search, which is what I'm going to talk about this morning. And all of these have added to the body of knowledge about the capabilities of the medium. Now, the origins was an appetite to understand how outdoor integrates across other media, particularly digital media. And this, we ended up doing a project which looked at that modelled search behaviour in relationship to media spend in offline media. We did this across 4 categories, and what we were doing was to model keyword searches for brands across 4 categories. We did it across insurance, automotive, mobile phone handsets, and travel. And we ended up doing it for about 60 keywords, and in each case we used Google Insights for Search data to understand the relationship alongside Nielsen spend data for the offline media. We did have a desire to broaden the categories that we covered, but we decided that for many FMCG categories, for instance, search is less relevant than it is for more intangible categories, such as those which are shown here. So what were the results? Well, the first finding of our modelling work suggests that the only media that were really significant drivers of search were outdoor and TV. That is, they were statistically significant. We couldn't find a relationship between spend in radio and press. That's not to say that it doesn't drive search. You can see the one media that we probably missed off, which is big, is digital, and that was largely because I'm not sure what the situation is in Denmark, but even in the UK, spend data, or publicly available spend data for digital is pretty poor quality, so we didn't include it in the model. And taking this on, we can then show that in 3 out of the 4 categories, outdoor delivered a more cost-effective impact on search than TV. So what we did was to take the data and look at the cost of investing £1 million behind each of the TV and outdoor, and what that delivered in search uplifts. So for travel, £1 million in TV delivers a 3.5% uplift in search versus 5.5% for outdoor. And you've got the same picture for travel, for insurance and cars, but not across all of them. And for me, the key point to take from this is that for an intangible and service-led propositions with a strong high street presence, it's even more important that we have outdoor on the plan. But what about my second topic, the Olympics? Well, in preparing for this morning, I looked up Denmark's performance at the Olympics on the medals table. Very impressive. I have to say, I felt it was quite reassuring how similar your performance was to Team GB in certain respects. And that's related to the fact that in the Beijing Olympics, the head of the Australian Olympic Association was asked why the Brits were doing so well in comparison with the Australians. There's a bit of rivalry between the two of us. And he said, well, they only win sitting down sports, which are like cycling, rowing, horse riding, and I understand that both of your gold medals came in cycling and in rowing, so very similar to us. And while the Olympics is still relatively recent, what we can really see coming through was just the winner, one of the winners was outdoor. Well, to understand why, we have to take a step back. And in the build-up to the Games, there was actually quite a lot of controversy within the UK media press about what was going on with the outdoor, particularly in the run-up. And this was partly down to the way that out-of-home packages were sold for the Olympics. For the first time, a substantial element of the display inventory was sold via an auction. So we tend to have more of a direct relationship between advertisers and media agencies and owners without doing auctions, unlike online media. And the auction itself covered 80% of the outdoor sites within the vicinity of the key Olympic venues. Official sponsors were given priority in the bidding, and obviously the international partners are shown here. But ultimately, quite a lot of that first round of bidding ended up with a lot of unsold inventory. And the majority of the inventory was sold subsequently through the regular negotiations. And about 60% of it went to non-sponsors.